what a match it was as it finishes Manchester City 2, Tottenham 3. Of course, that has huge repercussions when it comes to the title race. Liverpool coming from behind to beat Norwich today, meaning that 6 points separate the top two. Liverpool with a game in hand. That takes place midweek. And then it is Liverpool against Manchester City in April. Liverpool win that, of course, and who knows what will happen. Let's welcome in, shall we, Don Hutchinson and Nader Mourad to the show. Nader, how was that as a City fan?
Do you know what? Spurs, in some ways, have been City's bogey team recently, and you could see that again today. But to talk about those goals that they conceded, as Craig was alluding to there, they were so passive with some of the things that they did that there's no surprise those 3 goals were conceded. With the first one with Diaz, there's no pressure on the ball anywhere, so to try and hold a line that high seems criminal. And then for the next 2 goals, not really applying pressure as players are whipping balls into the box with runners and people having time and space. You know, I'd say it was alarming, but I think they're going to address that. And obviously City, you know, they're still in the driving seat. We can talk about Liverpool potentially beating City, but the fact is City are thinking about beating them as well, and they are very much still the #1 team in the country. So it's not the end of the world, but some of the mistakes that they've made and making them against someone like Harry Kane, like against Son, against Kulusevski, it's just criminal. And I think overall it's a big surprise because I thought they'd do a lot better, to be honest.
Don, this is why we love this sport, isn't it?
It is, because I predicted 4-0 Man City yesterday, and I told you a couple of weeks ago that Kulusevski doesn't score and doesn't get an assist. He got both today. I didn't see this result coming, but they were brilliant, Man City. I mean, Harry Kane had the game of his life. His hold-up play, as Craig said, was sensational. His first touch was immaculate. He was bringing players into the game. The little ball around the corner for Son for the first goal on his weaker left foot, Harry Kane. Sensational ball, and he grew in confidence, come away with a brace. And another one that's just passed the audition. We talked about Mbappe passed an audition midweek. Well, if City have forgot about Harry Kane, well, don't sleep on him, because that performance was amazing from him today.
Don't forget they had one chopped off, rightly so, for offside.
Yes.
And Kulusevski was just offside. This reminded me of one of those performances that Man City give when they get knocked out of a Champions League.
Yeah.
Where they play some great stuff, they dominate. I mean, the possession stats at one point, Jim Beglin on commentary said to Pete Drury, Pete, in the second half, the graphic's coming up now, it's 90%. But the only thing that matters is the ball hitting the back of the net. And, you know, City huffed and puffed. But what Tottenham did when they did have possession, which wasn't a lot, was magnificent. Harry Kane, and he wasn't the only one, but Harry Kane's general awareness and ability to see what is around him and still have that body strength. He holds the ball up, he wins balls in the air, he's the best passer of the ball that Tottenham have, by far, but better passer than any midfielder, and he's the best goal scorer. I mean, it's just, and when he puts all that together and they can get some service and runners off him, but as Nedum said, this is not a new movie for Man City against Tottenham. They've done it to them. They did it to them at the start of the season. They did it to them, I think, last year or the year before, where they just waited and waited, and then they hit them in behind.
Right.
And I think it is a lesson to be learned for Man City, because their general play was pretty good, but defensively today, I just always felt they were a little shaky. And fair play to Tottenham, because they've been rank rotten recently, and he needed something tangible.
Yeah.
Because he's gone loopy, Conte. He's all over the parish. He'll be telling people they're going to win the league now. Because yesterday he was telling people they were probably going to get relegated.
Yep.
He doesn't know if it's New Year or Christmas Day, right? But so he just needed something, and he got it big time from his team.
And he did it all without what? Gil, Ndombele,
well, they sold his 4 best players.
All his big players that he'd lost.
4 best players that were never going to play at the end. He sold them all. And guess what? The only one thing I would say was, Bentancur got lucky today, because that was a welcome to England. This is the pace of play in England, particularly when you're playing elite teams. And he's a very good technician, Rodrigo Bentancur. But when you play the likes of Man City and you're a central midfielder, you don't get the amount of time on the ball that he thought he was getting. And he got stripped of it half a dozen times in the first half, and he was lucky to get away with that. So, a good day all round for Tottenham.
How much of an anomaly is this from City's perspective, particularly in defence, Don, or how much is it a concern going forward?
No, I think it's the way they play. I think Liverpool and Man City are exactly the same. It's all risk and reward. They go high, they don't mind, they back themselves, they make the pitch small, they They try and press teams high up the pitch, and they try and get numbers, and they try and force the issue. When a player like Harry Kane turns it on today, we've seen Jamie Vardy in the past. Leicester caused Man City all sorts of problems because of his pace, where Harry Kane's different. He relies on his football brain. He comes short. It wouldn't be panic stations if you're Man City. What it is just a reminder and a bit of a body blow in terms of what Liverpool done. Just to remind everyone that thought that the title was done a month ago, that this is far from done. It's now back to 6, and they've still got to play Liverpool. That can go all the way back to 3, and they've got some difficult games coming up. You know, they've got Everton at Goodison next, which won't be easy. People might look at Everton, but they're a different animal, I think, at Goodison under Frank. And then they've got Man United. So it might just be a sharp reminder to get refocused again.
Everton looking different under Frank.
Only Don.
Goodison.
A different animal when they've just lost it.
At Goodison. At Goodison. Listen to what I said. At Goodison.
He's only had one game at Goodison in the league.
100% record.
Yeah, there we go. Right, away from the Frank Lampard loving that somehow we got
I'll tell you what, Ruben Diaz tried to play, I don't know what Nedum thinks, but he tried to play as a defender offside on 2 occasions in the first half, both against Son.
Yep.
And Son almost got in. On the second occasion, the pass was just slightly behind them. I mean, I'm all for high lines and pressing and stuff, but sometimes there's a high line and there's a crazy line. And I thought today, City were just pushing the envelope a little bit too far, bearing in mind the players that they knew.
Yeah.
Guardiola's talked about it. We know we're going to get runners from midfield. We know Harry Kane's great at getting it and turning and passing. And we know Moura came on as a sub, he didn't play. But the likes of Lucas Moura when he's on the field and Heung-min Son will run in behind. And if you leave them that amount of space, that's alarm bells.
Yeah, how do you explain that defensive performance today, Nathan?
I don't know, to be honest, especially the first goal, because with City, as Craig said, they do have a very, very high line, but the beauty of that high line, it tends to come at a point where there's real big pressure being applied to the opposition on the field. But for that goal there, the first ball, I think, from Davies was uncontested. And then when Kane played that brilliant ball around the corner, there was nobody who was within 3-4 yards of him anyway. So for Diaz to think that's the right time to step up, it's completely missing the point. I think they need to have understood that danger that bit more. And this is the danger. I think sometimes you look at games and you'll see people in and around others, but there's a difference between actually affecting the play and being passive. And I think for all 3 goals today, they were exceptionally passive. But to mention Harry Kane and how well he played, I don't know what you think about this, Craig, but when we look back at, say, the way things were in the Euros and at the start of the season, you saw a guy who maybe was playing a bit deep, wasn't really breaking his back to get into the box. But you look at his first goal today, and he's sprinting past so many people to make sure he gets on the end of that. And then in the last minute of the game, get yourself in the box, get yourself a goal. Because I think from my side personally, start of the season, I thought there were other players who seemed to have a greater desire to be in and about it when the ball comes into the box. But now I'm looking at that and I'm saying, well, this is exactly what City would have needed if he was playing at this sort of level. But yeah, as I say, defensively for City, they have to do better. They have to read the situation better. And credit to them, they came in, they only conceded 14 goals in the league so far. But then 3 today, something where you really need to take a good look at it, because I think a lot of those opportunities would have been avoidable.
You know, Guardiola will be looking at that, saying, yeah, we're still fit, and I agree, they're still favourites to win the league. They've just made it a little bit more difficult for themselves, just a little chink of light. Liverpool, we're going to talk about them, but for an hour they looked as if they were shooting themselves in the foot. Mm-hmm. But they've just given a little hope, but he'll be in there, Guardiola, thinking, yeah, I know we can win it without a striker, and we're still playing great, and we're still scoring all these goals, but boy, that was a performance. That was something different. You know, that was something different. That was an all-round performance from a player who almost wanted to show City what they could have had if they just paid a little bit extra money, and he'd have been playing for a club that was challenging on every front, and it could have made a difference. We'll see how City far they go in terms of success this year, whether it's the league and the Champions League, we don't know. But Guardiola must have been having a glass of wine in his office, thinking maybe another 10 or 20 million would have got that guy, because that's with the
just staring at Grealish, going,
I think with the fact that they didn't have that much possession, but when they did get it to him, and I feel as if I'm sort of eulogising about him, but he was that good. This was Harry Kane at his best. This was the reason why, if Man City didn't go and get him, the likes of Man United should have gone and just blistered everybody out the ballpark with a fee to Tottenham in the summer and brought him in. It was that kind of performance.
Thank you very much for watching ESPN FC on YouTube. For more highlights, analysis and exclusive content, be sure to subscribe.